it again, if you are an elite athlete, the reason why the scary approach to maybe your career ending tomorrow or you being dropped and deselected is this feeling of your ego being damaged and that I'm not enough without this. And therefore I need it in order to stay alive. But the worry becomes is the longer you stay in it, the more you feed that ego, the more you're just completely reinforcing this idea that
100%.
you are defined around this. Your success is built. You as a human being, your success, your value is built around that. And if you haven't done the work on that ego to know that if tomorrow or now I step away, I'm good.
Yeah. And this is what I find so amazing about the mind, though, that in just what you've just shared, there's so many little, and tricks is the wrong word because that almost feels like it cheapens it, but there's so many things you can do with your mind to change your life. And even just the point you made about like, the mindset of it, I don't know if this will be my last one. Like there's a rugby player that has a similar kind of like trick or stance. He's had a lot of injuries and he's like, this could be my last game. I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to play free. I'm going to be fully committed. I'm not going to freak out about mistakes and so on. And it's only through adversity that he's been gifted. Well, adversity and reflection that he's like you, he's thought deeply about what it means. And now he's found a way to perform consistently, which without that adversity, he may not have done it. It's interesting to think how we can help athletes to find those kind of powerful mind maneuvers without having to always have the adversity piece. That you never know when your last game is going to be, your last training session, the last time you have a laugh with your teammates. That is such a powerful mindset that you describe. But I was also reflecting on, it's so hard to, there's a lot of almost acceptance. You haven't used the word acceptance, but there's a lot of acceptance in what you're talking about there, about accepting that this is where I am, or this is where the performance is, or this is what. And yet that's so almost like counter to the mindset of most elite athletes of like being dissatisfied with the reality of wanting to get better, improve. And I find that really a fun place to try and be with people of how can we bring the benefits of acceptance. This is who I am, this is where I am, or this is this mistake that happened, or this is this moment that I misread, and I want to get better and learn from it, but not have that be aggy, not have that be like constantly like a source of distress, but more curiosity of like, let's see what's possible.
I think acceptance is an incredible superpower that is underrated in high performance. The reason I say that is because you're talking on a bigger scale. There's this idea of acceptance of I am who I am, I'm in the situation I'm in. But on kind of a micro scale is the sort of game by game, moment by moment acceptance of a situation, whether it's in a sport, in an organization, of what's happening at that moment. The more I see high performers wrestling with the scenario, the situation that it's, the reality of the situation and not being able to accept it, the less they can do in it because they can't, or they disengage. They go, this is not for me. I can't do this. I'm no longer able to do this. This is not my day. I can't figure it out. And the adaptability just gets pushed aside straight away. So the ability to accept this pitch, this condition, this weather, this decision is all just happening and I have to accept it. And it's really after that, what do I do next? And I think if people can unlock that, they will change not only their ability to perform, but their perspective of themselves and how they see the performance.
There's an athlete that I worked with a long time ago now in the run-up to the London Olympics. He with his teammate Tim Bailey in the sport of canoe slalom became the first GB Olympic champions. And he's a magnificent individual. He's so funny, challenging. Like I learned so much working with him. One of my most like joyful moments where I heard a journalist say to him, like, how did you handle the pressure on the start line? Like, it was a real cauldron, like the crowd were all wrapped around the course at Lee Valley in London at the Olympics. And he's like, how did you handle that pressure? And he was like, I didn't really feel pressure. I just saw an opportunity and I couldn't wait to try and solve the challenges that the course design was presenting me. And he was like so absorbed in the mastery moment, almost like, of course there's a part like of course, like they were desperate to push for a medal, like they'd missed the Beijing Olympics through various difficult circumstances. But what an unbelievable mindset of like, here's an opportunity and a fun challenge, a puzzle that I'm going to try and solve. Oh, and it just so happens we'd put down a run that was the best in the world on this day. Here's a gold medal. So it was like, it's almost like a consequence of just being absorbed in something that he found fascinating. Still to this day, that was like over 10 years ago, and I still think about that now.
Yeah, that puzzle solving mentality, I'm a big fan of that. Just in the sense that cricket as a sport, I will always describe this to cricketers that are trying to become professionals or are professionals, is pretty much boil it down to your job on the day is to solve a puzzle that is changed from the last day because it's a 4-day. It might be a 4-day game or it's a brand new environment. The conditions you're in will never be the same as they are right now, and they will be changing day by day. And you will always turn up to a ground where the pitch is different, the opposition are different, the conditions out, the environment is different, and it's a very unique and nuanced sport in that sense because a football pitch is always a football pitch, right? And you have to deal with just the players on it. Maybe you have to deal with wind, rain,
They make
sleet,
yeah,
snow.
no, I think they make
But the actual imagine if the pitch in football changed to rock hard and the ball reacted differently off it, but that's a reality in something like cricket. And so I always say you have to turn up with this puzzle solving mentality that you want to try and solve this puzzle, but also for your own personal perspective, you might have to solve that puzzle with one arm tied behind your back. For example, you have to change, the tools might change on the day. You might be slightly sorer
That's a
this
nice
day. You
angle.
might be
Yeah.
slightly agitated. Someone might have pissed you off in the morning, right? So you're going to have to adapt with ultimately turn up, assess where am I at? What do I have today? What tools do I have? And what does the puzzle need from me today? And how do I fit that into it? I think where people fall down is where they get frustrated in their performances because they're met with a challenge and an environment and something that's uncontrollable. And they go, this doesn't fit into the perfect version of me. My best version is unable to perform today. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's so interesting that the more identified you are with the sport or the outcome, the more personal it is, which in so many ways is an asset because then those are the athletes I'd say that work harder, that are more resilient in the pathway to, towards high performance. But then when it really matters, that what was an asset becomes a liability in what I've noticed of like then because I care so much when it's not fair, like when there's something that is happening that shouldn't be happening, you get even more internal resistance that then distracts you from actually working out what is the next move, how do I solve the puzzle. So I think it's really interesting. It's so hard for athletes of how do you want to care about this moment. You're coming back to, it feels like in this conversation all roads lead back to meaning, like what is the meaning you want to assign to this moment. Because if it's like your whole, we're back with self-esteem or with self-worth. If my whole self-worth is contingent on winning this game, but this ref or this umpire is calling things wrong, I'm so caught up now with how unfair that is and how invested I am in this moment that I'm now going to underperform. I've got so much interference, but actually taking back some control, you had way more power in that moment than you realized to accept what is happening and adapt. And that's the part. And then the other bit, like then the sense of like the compassion of, am I okay to say I'm doing the best I can with the skills I have right now? And I know I'm going to do that because of how I prepared, the kind of person I am, where my values are. So whatever the outcome is, I'm going to find some win in that. And yeah, I'm going to make my best better, yes, through reflecting and all the rest of it. But right here and now, I'm at peace enough with myself and who I am in the world to be able to accept however this unfolds. And the freedom that comes from that then loads the dice in favor of something quite special happening anyway. But all these things are not naturally how the mind works. It's not a natural way of thinking or being.
If you enjoyed that clip with Katie, then YouTube has created the best video that you need to be viewing right now. I have no idea what it is, but it's chosen it, and this is it right here.